If you like this video, make sure to visit our Vimeo page and follow us to get the latest update.
If anyone has the questions from the previous session.
Yeah. Sorry, I said no questions regarding the last session.
So hi, welcome to the new session, and today we will discuss the creating repository to create new repository after installation and updating the repository. Okay, this is the defined agenda, but beyond this we will cover the previous session details as well, that we use the screenshots rather than the live server. Okay, so we will walk you through how the things are there and where we can find. Okay, so we will walk through for the designer and the other elements. So okay, let's show. I believe you can see the server or the designer. Can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, before going that, let me show you one more thing. In where the SAP installed, you will see this folder always. SAP Data Services 4.3. The version can be different, okay, but in that you will see different applications. SAP Data Service Designer, Data Services Local Selector, Data Service Repository Manager, Server Manager. So here three things are important for any developer: Data Service Designer, Data Service Repository Manager, and Data Service Server Manager. Okay, so today we are going to use this Repository Manager and the Server Manager as well. Okay, but let's create one repository. In the previous session, I show you what is repository, local repository, and the central repository. Right now, you can see that I have the already one repository repo called repo_ds. Okay, and for the central repository, we will look into that in a later stage. But let's create for all the users, for all of you, a separate local repositories. So here you have to select the repository type, whatever type of repository you want to create, central, local, and the profiler. So we will create a local database type. So from where it's coming. So here we are using the database SQL Anywhere and the database version 17x, database server name. One second. Database name. And then just click create. All these details, whatever I'm okay, this repository already may be built. Okay, so let's create another one. Okay, so these details, the database name or the username and password, you will get these details from the database admin. Okay, probably you will not have the access to create these username. So when you need to create a new repository, you will ask the database administration. Okay, we need one more local repository, so we need the database for the repository. So just ask them to create a database. So they will create a new database for you and the username and the password. So these details will be given by the database administration, not by you. Okay. And you should have all the access like mentioned in this document, create user BODS identifier, that is BODS server. Okay, so you should have all the access on your database, then like all the access drop and anything. So rather than ask the admin rights on a particular database, they will ask why you need the admin access. Then the business justification would be, okay, this is the local repository for the BOD's designer and we need the admin access so that we can read, write, or we can do anything on that. And this is local repository, not related to the production. Okay. So once you are done, then you will go to the data repository manager, like we go, and provide these details and create. Meanwhile, it will continue to create. Once it created, we will continue from there. And in the meantime, we will cover whatever we left in the previous session. Is it fine for you?
Anshul,
Yes.
I think we can do these steps side by side with you. That would be easier to learn because now if you tell us and afterwards again we will be performing this, and if we get stuck somewhere, we will have to do this again.
But again, the challenge is you don't have the access right now. That's why I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Mhm.
Right?
And I think
You
that
will
we
just,
should wait till then, because otherwise there
Yeah.
is no point of having this, because
okay.
you will be doing it, you will be yeah, you will be having your effort, then we obviously we will also try to learn, but then we'll have to do extra effort to again go back and then again see everything.
Okay, makes
So
sense.
this is
Okay,
this
so
is
let's
this is my
park it.
opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with it. So let's park it here. Okay, let's walk first. Maybe as they said, okay, you will receive the details in few minutes. Let's continue with the walk, just the overview of the platforms. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
so we'll cover the database designer. Okay, the data service designer. Here you can see the highlighted area is the project area. Right click. Okay, you can create a new project here. New. Enter project name. You created a new project over here. Okay. After that, right click and you can create a new batch job or new real-time job. Okay, like this. And on the bottom side, you can see this, right? This is the project. Whatever the project you will have, you will see in here. And here you will see the job segregated or grouped in a two folders, batch jobs or real-time jobs. This is the workflow area. This is data flow. And this is the transforms, pre-built transforms that has, it's like a functions which has a tendency to do something. So they divided the transforms in a three set or four set, you can say. Data integrator, data quality, platform, and text data processing. If you expand these, you will see the name and the purpose, what they did. Okay, data transfer. So we will learn these all the transfers while we will walk through for the next sessions. Okay, but these are the transform based on their types. Data quality transforms, platforms. Okay, and here whatever we will do, here we will create the data stores. Here we will define the formats, file format, whether it can be a flat file, SDFS file, COBOL, Excel file. Okay, and these are the functions. In the BODS, we have a two type of functions, custom function and the validation function. Custom function are that we want to apply set of rules. So rather than doing the same thing again and again, we can put all those rules in a one box or one function, and we can reuse that, all the set of rules. Okay. And we call that as a custom function. And it will give output. Okay. It can be a table output, row, or anything. But if we apply the same set of rules or apply some set of rules, but it just give the output true or false, then we call it as a validation function. The only difference based on the output. If output is true and false, then it's a validation function. If output is different from the Boolean type data type, it's a custom function. Okay. This is the canvas area. Okay. So let's create one data store first, because this is the data connection that you start. So right click, then new, then just give the data store name. Always try to follow the naming convention. Start with the DS. It means it's a short name of the data store, so that if name comes in your just if to you, then you can just identify what it is. Okay, data store, and we can say okay. Now define the database type. So you have a different set of options: adapter, databases, Google BigQuery, Oracle application, and so many applications so that you can connect. Again, it has a further options like database. If you click database, then it will ask the database type. So which database type you want to connect? Here we have the SQL Anywhere. Okay. Once you select, it will ask you the version. Okay. Here we are using the 17.x. Database server name. Database name. Port is going to be remain same because it's a default port. Username. Now, once you are done with these changes, just click on apply. If you didn't receive any error, then your connection is established. If you receive any error, then there is some problem and you will see the error. Here I click apply. Can you see? Did you see any error?
No.
That's why
So
we can
again,
say,
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but
please.
all these details will then be shared by database administrator only, or
Yes. Yes.
so without these details, we cannot even create the data store, right?
No. Because
Okay.
who is the owner of the database? They will give you the details.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
But you got my point at how to create. Is there any questions on
Yes.
this? Okay, perfect. Now click OK. First, you have to click on apply, check whether it's making connection or not. If it didn't appear any error, then you are fine to go ahead. Click OK. Your connection will be established. Can you see? Now you have the new training data. Okay. Now we will define a file format. Okay. So we today I have downloaded one file from the internet. Okay. Here you can see the train data Excel file. Simple Excel file like this. Okay, we can close this. Let's pull this data into our design. So here we will define the Excel workbook. Right click, new, file format name. Okay. Train data. Now file location. Click here. Here you can see this is the parameter or the variable. Okay. So we are not going to, we will use this parameter in a later stage. Right. Here, once you click on the directory, then you can see that I can access my local system. On the downloads, I should in the file name again, select file, downloads, all file. Can you see the tray? Open.
Anshul, one
Yeah,
one
please go ahead.
small thing. Sorry to interrupt you. What are we trying to do in this? I mean, what is the thing which we are trying to do by importing these Excel things and all? So are we just right now we are navigating through all the things, or we are defining how the way we want to read the data from the source and all?
Okay, right now what I am trying to do, I'm just trying to explore all the elements that is
Okay.
required to create any ETL. Earlier, I explained you the data store. So how to create the data stores, because this is the very first step to creating a new batch job, right? Because until or unless you don't have the data, you
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything, right? So we just first we create the connection to the database. Right now, we don't have any data into the database, right? It's a new
Okay.
database.
So,
So
there are two things. Like for example, if we talk about ETL, or let's just talk about data migration itself. So when we talk about SAP data migration, we have different methods to migrate the data from legacy to SAP, right? Like we have LSMW and all other things like migration cockpit. If you're talking about S4 HANA in detail. So when we talk about DS, so DS can be in between your SAP system and your legacy system and its own database. Like for example, you have a legacy application which you want to migrate data from there to SAP, and then in between you have your DS server, which will connect the database of the legacy system, which can be like for example, it's a SQL server. Okay, it's like MySQL, and then your DS is connected to the database of the SAP system. So that is one way which I understand, right?
yeah,
So
you are
and then
correct.
we have this file also in which we directly, if we have the data in file in the file, and then we are uploading the data itself to the SAP database. So is this what we are covering right now? Like we have
Yes,
the data in file, and then we will just upload the data from file into the SAP database.
yes. Okay, let me tell you one more thing before doing this. Okay, let's cancel it. Whether you are moving data from one place to another or anything,
Mhm.
you need to have a connection with that. Okay, let's suppose you have a scenario, your data is moving from SQL Server to the SAP HANA or SAP system, right? So you need a connection with the SQL Server as well and HANA as well, right?
Yeah.
And you want to move data from a particular set of file to the SAP HANA as well. So if you see this scenario, then you will see you have a three different data. One is SQL Server, one is file, and another is SAP HANA. So before doing anything, you have to create three data store, each one for each.
Okay.
Okay. So right now we created one. Let's suppose SQL Anywhere is your legacy system. Okay.
Okay.
So we created one DS store training data with the SQL Anywhere. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
If you want to
Yeah.
pull the data from here and want to migrate to the SAP HANA, then you have to create a new store, new data store database. Okay. You can see the applications SAP application, SAP BW source, BW target. You can see.
Okay.
And if you want to migrate to the SAP HANA, just click on database. Here you will see the SAP HANA as well. SAP HANA, select the version and provide the server detail, username, password.
Okay. So
Got it?
that these details will be provided by the HANA admin then in that case.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
It can be a you as well. If you have the access on the SAP HANA database, you have the data, you can punch it here. If you don't have, then you have to ask for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it? So
Got it. Yeah.
whatever the data sources or target you have to build a connection with them.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
here data store can be a number of data store, hundreds of. One data store for each data source or whether it's a source or target.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's why I created one, because right now we have one data. So we created for the training data. And we are
Okay,
just
so one more question in this. Now, so we have created a data store. So our intention right now is to upload the data from our file into this data
Mhm.
store, right?
Yes, right.
For which we have already established the connection.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
so like you see here. Okay, let me show you again here. Add
Mhm.
it. Can you see for the SQL server, it's how it looks. Okay, let me take a screenshot of it. Okay, how it looks right now. Just see, okay? And create a new for HANA database. And where is my screenshot? But can you see that it's almost similar? Do you remember that?
Yep. Yep.
So
Because
there is
it is basically not going through any SEO, but connecting the database itself. So the
yes,
way we are connected
yes,
to the database, it's almost same. Yeah.
it's just a connection bridge, nothing more than that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? So it can be
And
connected to.
okay, and for this, like when the data service connect to any database, so is it like connecting through any ODBC in this case? Like when the
Yes,
connection is
it's
made?
again.
Okay, okay,
Yes, it's based on the type. Okay, some SQL
okay,
servers require the ODBC connection, but for the anywhere we don't require it. But
okay,
whatever it's needed, it will be provided by the admin. Okay, if you have to create the SQL ODBC connection, then you have to install on your local server. Okay,
okay.
so yeah,
And
for anything, yeah,
sorry,
please,
just one more question here. The data stores now which we are creating for different sources types, these data stores, they can be used as the source or the target both,
yeah, both.
right?
They
Okay,
can use either for the source, target, or both at the same time.
okay.
Okay, so let's create a file system. Flat file. Let's suppose create new file format. We can name it. Okay, root directory. Files name. Now it's asking for you to import a schema from the source file, or you want to define your schema. Schema is nothing but the format, file format. Okay. If you select yes, then it will import the file format. Can you see?
Okay. Also, is there an option like we already have headers in our Excel file? So
Yes,
instead
here
of
you can
field
see
one,
the
field
header.
two.
Yeah, we will come to that. Just give me a few seconds. Okay, here you can see that we have the header, row ID, order date, ship date, right? But it's showing as a field one, field two. Okay. Now column is delimited by the comma, row is new line, and escape character escape row 0, and it will ask you whether your file has the header or not. Okay, where we can see can you see
Okay.
now? Once you selected the option yes, then it's already detected that it has the header. Now again, it, it's a, you can say the AI or anything, but the thing is you should verify whether it's detecting correctly or not. Like row ID is detected as an int, order ID is varchar, order date is varchar. Okay, it's not varchar, right? It should be date. So you can click and you can change it to date. Okay, and now it's asking for the format. What is the format of it? So you can define the format. Its default format is YYY, but we can change from here. Can you see the here the formatted? So we can change that. DB. Okay, so here you can select the format of it. Again, ship date. Ship mode is varchar is fine. Customer ID and postal code is int, which should not be a int. Postal code, it should be varchar. Can anyone tell me why it should be varchar?
Like we can change the size of our variable characters. We can increase also afterwards.
Yes. But my question is why the postal code should be varchar, not int? I answered this question in the last session. So if anyone want to answer. Because if we keep the postal code as an int, it can be summarized. Okay, it will summarize, but we can't summarize that, right? Okay, there is one problem here. If you observe that sales is coming as a cherry wood. Okay, what can be the reason for this? Can anyone tell me?
So from product name, it's going to next column. Is it?
Yes, because maybe they have the comma in the product column and our file is comma separated.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see here that it has the comma? Okay, now looks fine. Now just save and close. Now you created the train data flag file. Okay. Now we will create the data flow. Okay. Data flow. Right now it's empty. New data flow. Data flow will be the new data flow. Once you double click on this, okay, it will give you the option for the design and implementation. Okay, so I clicked. Right now we are on a canvas area. Here you can see the options we can do. Okay, so this is a template table. This is query transform. This is the only transform which is available here. Query transform, and rest of the transform is available here. Okay, and query transform should be here as well, here, because query transform is most used transform. That's why I just keep it, they put it here. Now let's do something. We will pull like drag and drop. Now it will ask you the option, what you want to do it with this, make it source or target. So here the file is going to be become a source here. And here you can see the icon for seeing the data. Fetching data in progress. You can see the data. This data looks fine to you, or you want any changes. So you can decide here again. Okay. Here it shows only the first 1000 rows. Okay. You can navigate like this or to the next 1000 at the last. Now we will use query transform. Click and again click on the white canvas area, or just click and drag and drop. Okay. Now you have to design the flow of it from source to target, like drag and drop. Now you will open this query. It's loading. Okay, now you can see that here on the left hand side is schema in. So what is coming to this transform is listed here. And what will be the output of this this transform or any other transform will be listed on the right hand side. Here you can see the train data is coming with these columns and the data type. Okay. And we can choose one or many or everything to move ahead. Okay. So what you can do, you just click one or two, or you can just click by holding the control key or by the shift key like this. Okay. So let's suppose we want to put we want to move everything, just skipping the postal code. Click and drag and drop. Okay. So whatever you are taking ahead will be highlighted as a blue, the dark blue arrow. And which is keep behind, it will be look like this. Okay. Now understand the bottom area, mapping. So how the things are mapping, row ID, this row ID is mapped to the row ID, the train data dot row ID. Let's suppose order ID is train data order ID like this. If customer ID is ship segment, okay, we want to check one more thing. Let's suppose we want to know the difference between the order date and the ship date. Okay, so what we can do, we can create a new column, right click and click new output column. Okay, it will ask you where you want to place it. Okay, insert above or below. I just click. Now just give the days for ship. And it will be the int content type as we are not going to change. Now, how you will map this? The days taken for the ship. So here this is the mapping area. So you can do ship date, drag and drop minus order date. If your logic is correct, then it will look like this, the double arrow. If your logic is incorrect or missing something, then it will give an error while apply. Okay. If you correct it, then it will be again apply and it will be look like this. In the second tab, select. If you have the duplicate data from the source, you can check this box and it will remove the duplicate. Okay, it will pass only the unique rows. From is if you want to merge or join two tables, two different data sources, then we will define the join here. Okay, where just putting the condition like the SQL. Is everyone knows the SQL the little bit?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that what is joins and the where clause. Okay, so we can put this. It's same look like a it works like a SQL. We can define the joins where the where condition, group by, order by, and advance. If we want to optimize, this will comes in a later stage once we will optimize our job. Okay. And find is to just find the columns. If you have a long list of columns in a particular table, then it's one. Okay. But now you are clear till now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
So here, this is the sign of back, going back. Okay. Now you can see, now we will put push this data to the DB that we have. So here we have one transform called template. Click here and click on the white canvas here. It will ask you that what you want to give a name to the table. Maybe you remember that I told you that tables is two type of tables. Tables from the DB and another table is template table which rest into the memory only. Okay. Here we will give the name time. Okay. Now it will ask that in which data store you want to connect. Okay, so we will connect to our BODS training data. Click OK and just connect to the target. If you click on it, it will give you the again options. Okay, this is the target. This is your defined target. Options. Delete data from table before loading. If you want to delete the data, drop and create table. This is option. This option is pre-built option for the template table. Okay, because it's a memory table, it will always drop and recreate. Load and triggers, preload commands, postload command. Preload command is something if you want to execute any SQL commands before pushing to the data into the target. Okay, and suppose this data is going to insert in this, but before this you want to execute some SQL command, then you can put your commands here. In post load, if you want to execute few SQLs after completion of your job. Okay. Now our simple data flow is prepared. Okay. Now our next task is to validate whether we develop the things logically or not. Not logically, but technically. Okay. It will check the validation. It validate technically whether you have developed something is technically good or not. Here you can see that validate current, or another icon is validate all. If you select validate current, it validate the whatever it is available on your white canvas. If you validate all, then it validate the whole batch job. So here we will validate the current. Here you can see that it doesn't give any error, empty, error is empty. Warning, there is one warning, and the information is again empty. We can skip the warning always most of the time, because here if you see the warning here, the data type conversion will be used to convert from type interval of mapping train data ship date minus. So it will do the data type conversion by itself because it's taking a to date input and giving the input as an int. That's why it's giving you the warning. Okay, I will do it by myself. You have not designed this. Okay, so we will use the power of BODs rather than doing everything by ourselves. Okay, so we can ignore the warnings. So right now we have developed a data flow, and always make a practice to save your work. Okay, before to avoid using your work. Okay, so here you can see the icon save all. It will prompt you to save your work and save it. Okay, now it's saved. Let's create a new batch job. New batch job, because maybe you remember that we can't execute the data flow independently. We need a batch job. Batch job. Okay, so once you selected here, now you can pull the data flow or workflow, anything. Here you can see the workflow. Are you there?
Yes, yes,
Yep.
we can see.
Yeah, please be interactive, because maybe I will not be aware like whether you are able to understand or not. Okay, if you are able to see the, because these are the very small things, right? So click here and you will create a new workflow. You can name it from the workflow WF. You have created this. Now within it, just click it and you can pull your, you can create a new data flow, or you can reuse your already having the work data flow. Drag and drop. Okay, but you can create a new workflow within the workflow. Okay, like this. Can you see? But
Yep.
in the data flow, you can't create a new workflow. Can you see?
Yeah.
Do you remember the hierarchy? So data flow comes into the workflow. We can't create a new workflow into the data flow.
So like now one question here, in data flows, we create only the data stores, and in the workflows we can create all the transformations on that.
Now, here, this is the workflow, right? In the workflow, you can use only the data flow and the other element. You can't use the tables here. Okay, data flow define the how the data will flow. Tables, source, targets, and the transformations. But in the workflow, you will define the how the data flow will work. Data flows like these, conditional like these elements. Can you see that query transform is disabled, template table is disabled.
Mhm,
Okay, if I try to pull the file, it will not work. Can you see?
mhm. Okay.
Okay, so workflow where you just put all these things together related to the data flows. But in data flow, it's a tables about the query transform and other transform files, tables, everything.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
so now we have defined the workflow. Okay, so here you can see from the beginning, training is our project. Data migration, job data migration is our job. WF data is our workflow. Data flow, move data from file to DB is a data flow. This is our source, query transform, and the target. Okay. If you select the job, now you will validate the whole job. There is again the same warning. We can skip that and click OK. Okay, so let's run this, right click and execute. And there is one more option called start debug. Okay, so we will check both the options. Let's start with the execute option first. It will ask, okay, these are the recent changes that you didn't save till now. Do you want to save it or not? Okay, we will save it. Okay, on the left
Yes.
hand side, the project area. Here we are on the designer tab, and the another tab is monitor. Monitor tab can hold the execution process that we recently did. Okay, while from when you logged in onto the designer. So you can always click on the instance and you can check whether it's completed or not or failed due to any error. So first tab is the trace, okay, where everything you just mentioned, what was this process, when it started, like job, this is the timestamp, message, the initial environment local, this is started. Here you can see the workflow started at this time, okay, data flow is started at this time. Data flow is terminated due to error, this workflow terminated, this job terminated. Because one element inside the bottom element of the data flow is terminated due to an error, then everything will fail. Okay, that's why workflow failed, job failed. In the second tab, here we have the monitors where we have the number of rows in process, the status, the number of rows that we process, and the time. Okay, and the third tab is the error or warning. Whatever the error or warning we received, we get it listed here. So here you can see that it giving me an error that we cannot open the file this at this location. Please check the file and path and permission. I checked. We are able to see the data, but maybe I'm new to this server, so maybe there's something which is not restricting to get the file data. That's why it is not able to read the data while executing that. Okay, so that's why it's getting failed. Any question till now?
No, I'm good.
So here we covered this all the elements. Okay, whenever you want to exit the close, the designer always make a practice to create from the close from the project and exit. Okay, here the edit, cut, copy, paste. You can use the reusable components, the data flow, workflow. Okay, and here we will cover the few more things is system configurations and the substitution parameter configuration. These are the most important things if we talk about the BODS. These are the two things which help us to work in a multi-level environment. Like here, there are the only three things which help us to work in a different environments. Like if you have the environment or dab test and the prod, then these are the three things: system configuration, substitution parameter configuration, and the central repository. Okay, so we will look into that in a later stage. And here is the central repositories. Debug session is to see the data, how the data is flowing. Okay, right now let's suppose I execute this job without the debug session. Yeah, it will fail because there is no. But when you go to the data flow, you will see this glass icon on the board is starting in the end only. Okay, but if you run this job in a debug mode, start debug, you will see the data at every step. And if you want to analyze the result, click on no, not yes. If you click on yes, then you will not see the results. Okay, click on no. Now see, go to the data flow, and here you can see the two more classes here. How the data started from here and how it reached there. It's empty. And how the data comes here after the query transform. It will ask you where you want to see, in the left or the right. I will see in the left. And how the data come and go from there. Click and see the right, it's empty. Okay, so this is the difference between the normal execution and the debugging execution. And to just come from the debug mode, you have to click on this stop debug. Okay, now yesterday or the previous session we discussed about the management and the central management console. There is a two-way to go to the management console. One, the quick and easiest way is just click on this icon, Data Service Management Console. It will open in your default browser. Right now it's opening into the Chrome IE Internet Explorer. Okay, I have already set up in the Chrome. Here you can see to provide the details, system administrator or whatever the credentials you have, login. And here you can see the administrator, auto documentation, data validation, impact and linear analysis, operational dashboard, data quality reports. Here we have all the jobs that we built. Here you can see the repository report here. You will see the logs, batch job status, batch job configurations in the second tab, and repository schedules if you want to schedule any job. So first, let's discuss the batch job status. Here you can see the job name that we recently built, data migration, job server, and job information. Trace, monitor error, so same thing that we can see from the designer, the start time, end time, and the duration. Okay, and here you can see the status is failed. Okay, so if you click on the trace, you can see the logs, the monitor log, error log. Okay, and suppose you want to execute this job from here. So if you come to this option, batch job configuration, you will get all the list of with the project. Okay, so you can execute, you can add and schedule and export execution command. Export execution command is nothing but it will create a command so that you can use that command from different platforms like batch scripting, PowerShell scripting, or any other tools. Okay, it's like a game APIs. Okay, and when you schedule a job, then it will be available here. Okay,
So
then
can we cover this later?
okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's bind this session today, right now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
we'll let you know about this server and all. How we going to go ahead with that? Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit our Vimeo page and follow for more upcoming videos.